Okay, so welcome to the fourth session of week 2, and you remember in the third session we talked about how we are going to align strategic HRD activities with organizational performance. Now, what we are going to discuss is that how HRD activities are going to influence the behavior and performance of the employees. And when we are going to talk about employee behavior, what I mean to say that whether there is a significant improvement or change in the behavior of the employees due to any HRD activity. Now, any HRD activity is basically treated as a learning activity, right. So, here we are going to use some of the learning and principles to see that when you are going to design an HRD activity, it is able to influence the behavior of the employees, right. And when we consider HRD as a learning activity, so now we have to see that how we are going to define learning. Now, learning is something that brings about a change in your behavior, okay, and this change happens due to two reasons, that is by practice. Okay. So, if you are going to do the same thing time and again, you will improve on doing that thing, okay, or experience. Okay. So, the practice and experience, these are the two major things which brings about a change in your behavior. Now, we are going to use some of the principles of learning when we are talking about that how HRD activities are going to influence the behavior of the employees, right. And in the process we are going to discuss certain things like what are the models that is available, okay. Employee behavior related to behaviors, factors or the environment. So, the most important thing is the external environment. External environment is going to affect or influence your behavior, and also internal environment are the factors that is related to the employees. So, there could be two kind of factors which are related to influencing behavior. One is external factors that is related to the environment, okay, that is external environment, or it could be related to work environment. Okay. So, economic conditions, laws, rules and regulations, they are going to also regulate and control your behavior in the organization. Similarly, when we are talking about the work environment, means the kind of culture, climate, leadership, okay, what kind of co-workers you have, okay, how much autonomy and freedom you have, okay, what is the outcome of your performance, what you expect out of it when you perform well. So, these are the internal environmental factors which is also going to affect the behavior of the employees. For example, supervisor. If you have a favorable and good supervisor, it helps you to improve your performance. If the culture and climate of the organization is favorable, it helps you to improve your behavior and performance. If you think that yes, your performance is going to be rewarded, definitely you are motivated enough to perform well, right. So, these are the external environmental factors which are going to affect the behavior and performance of the employees. Now, apart from these internal environmental behaviors, there are certain behaviors which is related to the individual, okay, like his motivation, his attitude, his knowledge, his skill or abilities. Okay. So, if the employee himself is not willing to learn, if he does not have that kind of attitude, knowledge and skill, it is very difficult to improve or change his behavior. Okay. Now, the question is that if you really want to see that HRD activities are going to help the individual to improve their behavior and performance, so you need to facilitate the process of learning and development. And in the process of facilitating learning and development, what you need to do is, to start with, you are going to analyze the external environment, the internal work environment and individual related factors. These, if you look at these individual related factors, they are mostly guided by psychological factors, like you are talking about motivation, you are talking about learning, what is his perception, thinking, attitude. So, these kind of factors are important. External environment, that is outside the organization, right, economic factors, political factors, social cultural factors, okay, they are also going to affect your behavior. Okay. The kind of behavior that is going to be used by a person in an economic boom is going to be different compared to if there is a economic recession. If there is a political uncertainty, employees behave differently, because they think that what will be the fate of the organization, they do not know how the organization is going to be influenced by these political factors. Similarly, social cultural factors and national cultures are also going to influence the behavior of the employees, because the socialization, entire socialization process of the employees is the result of the social cultural factors. Okay. Now, coming to internal factors like supervision, when we are talking about supervision, okay, it is very important. Okay. Supervisor is going to influence your behavior in the organization. He may motivate you, he may guide you, he can help you, he can facilitate you on the one side, on the other side he can do the opposites. So, it is going to help you to improve your behavior or not. So, these are the factors which are going to affect your behavior. Similarly, if you have supportive co-workers, it is good for you. If you do not have, then it does not help, right. If your performance is linked with reward, then it is good, and in expectation of performance or reward, you are going to perform. So, you are going to use expectancy theory or expectancy model, right. Similarly, when we are talking about the individual behavior, finally, his attitudes, his emotions, his learning and all kind of things are very, very important. Okay. So, when you are going to see that what are the various factors which are going to influence employee behavior, it could be classified into external work environment, internal work environment and factors related to the individual. Now, once you have identified this, then you move further and see that okay, how these factors are going to influence. As I told you, the economic conditions, technological changes, the labor market conditions, labor unions. So, these factors are external environmental factors and they are going to affect your behavior. Okay. Technological changes may motivate you or demotivate you. If labor market conditions are good or it is favorable, then it will have a differential impact. Similarly, the government frames rules and regulations, they are also going to influence your behavior, especially in the context of India. You know that labor unions have a major role to play, okay, and they are also going to influence the behavior. They may dictate you to behave in certain ways, okay, which is going to either facilitate or hinder any kind of learning and development activities. Okay. So, you need to identify these external environmental factors which is going to influence employee behavior. Moving next to, we have to see the internal factors. As I told you, it could be related to supervision, outcome, that what is the result of the employee behavior, and that is where I told you that if employee behavior or performance is linked with the reward and the person thinks that he is being appropriately rewarded for his performance, this kind of behavior is strengthened, okay, and he is likely to go for this kind of behaviors time and again. Similarly, supervision and leadership, which is very, very important. As you know that people do not leave organizations, they leave their supervisors. It means supervisor is the most important factor in the organization so far as employee behavior is concerned, because he is going to help you as a guide, as a model, as a leader, as a coach. So, he is going to perform different kind of roles and this will facilitate better learning. Okay. Similarly, you have organization, whether it is going to support these kind of activities or not, what kind of culture and climate is there, what kind of norms and values are propagated related to HRD activities. If the philosophy of the organization, yes, that yes, we need to invest in people, people are our most valuable assets. So, if these kind of philosophy is adopted by the organization, then it is always good for the organization and then people will be motivated enough, because they, in that case they would get the support from the management. Then co-workers with whom you work, that is also important, because if it is a collective responsibility, not the individual responsibility, and when we are talking about collective responsibility, then you need cooperation and help of your co-workers to perform well. Okay. So, any learning and development activities, co-workers also facilitate to learn you better and perform. Then from internal factors influencing employee behavior, we move to see that how it happens. in terms of outcomes, yes, what are the different kind of outcomes, whether it is motivating in nature or not, that you have to see. In terms of supervision, leadership, performance expectations, what kind of leadership is provided by your supervisor, what kind of performance he expects from you, and whether he is supportive or not, the organization, what kind of culture, how the job is designed, what kind of structure you have in the organization, right, and then how the reward is managed, right. Then co-workers, what kind of norms, values, okay, is there, okay, how the group is behaving, what is the dynamics of the team, okay, who is going to control the outcomes, all these factors are very, very important. So, personal outcomes and organizational outcomes are basically linked, because personal outcomes lead to organizational outcomes. So, if employees perceive that the outcome that they receive is going to influence their their performance, then probably it would result in better organizational outcomes, right. Moving further, let us say a very important individual level factor, that is motivation. So, because even if a person is being trained or his learning and development activity is being facilitated by the supervisor, if he is not motivated enough to take it up, or he is reluctant, he is not interested in these kind of activities, nothing can be done, right. So, it is very, very important to ensure that people who are going for these kind of activities or take up any kind of learning and development activities are really motivated enough. Now, when we are talking about motivation, you have to see that how motivation is going to affect performance. Okay. Now, because if you remember, when we are trying to define performance, it is a function of three factors, that is ability, effort, ability and motivation. So, this motivation is equally important. Your performance first depends upon your ability, effort, how much effort you put in, whether you have the knowledge, skill and attitude, and then motivation. So, if you are not motivated enough, even if these two factors are available, you are not going to perform well. Okay. And that is why we need to ensure that people are motivated enough to perform well. Now, let us look some of the factors related to this one when we are talking about motivation. What is motivation? Now, if you look motivation, basically it is a psychological process. Okay. So, if you are motivated, it means that you are driven by certain things. Okay. So, motivation basically leads to what you call a goal directed behavior. So, when we are talking about motivation, this is how we draw a line related to motivation. So, there is a need, you are driven by this need, then you perform certain activities to, or this is what we call a goal directed behavior. Results in performance. This is the basic framework of motivation. Now, if you look at this basic framework of motivation, need, that is related to your learning need, whether you are really interested to improve your behavior by learning something more. Then, if by this learning need is going to drive you, okay, and because of this you are going to engage in some goal directed behavior, that is get trained, that is training, okay, and this training is going to improve your performance or behavior. Okay. So, motivation basically is related to goal directed behavior. Okay. So, if you are motivated enough, then you will be driven to perform certain activities which would result in better performance. Okay. And in case of training, it is also applied. Now, this is something which is voluntary. Okay. You cannot force somebody to do it or do a certain activity, especially when we are talking about adult learning, they cannot be forced to learn certain things. So, it has to be voluntary, right. If you have a need, then you go for it. Okay. So, it has to be a voluntary behavior, right. For example, if you are thirsty, then you look for water, is not it. It means that you have certain needs which need to be fulfilled, physiological needs that needs to be fulfilled. Okay. So, it is a kind of voluntary behavior. If you are really wanted to learn and grow yourself in your career, so you are going to engage in certain kind of activities, so that you learn something, perform well, and this performance may again going to satisfy your need related to growth in career, your increase your knowledge skill base, and this is a cyclical process. Again you have, it does not mean that once your this particular need is satisfied, okay, you stop, then again you have another need, again you move to the same cycle, okay, and that is how you continuously learn and develop yourself in the process, right. So, the idea is that this motivation provides you energy, direction and persistence. What I mean to say is that when you are going for goal directed behavior, because that is the crux here. So, this goal directed behavior, it means that you need to continuously engage yourself. When if you are motivated enough, you should be engaged in the right direction and you should have persistence. If you do not have patience, probably you may fail in the process. So, you should have patience till you are able to achieve the goal, and if that happens, probably it is going to help you to improve your performance, which can be linked with what you call growth and development of the career. And then this process goes on a cyclical basis to see that how you grow and develop. Okay. See how it happens. When we are talking about behavior, it is something that is not very simple, it is very, very complex, because the outcome of the behavior is influenced by a number of factors. Okay. So, to start with, you have some expectations. Okay, if I do this, I will get this one, right. So, if you think that this is the cause of this effect, so you try to have some kind of cause effect relationship. For example, if you think that if you learn a language, okay, this will lead to getting a job, right. So, this is the behavior, this is the outcome. Suppose you say that you are going to learn a language, that is C++ or Java. Okay. So, you get a job in IT field, right. So, this could be related, where you are going to relate behavior and outcome. Now, so, this is going to develop some kind of what we call your attitude towards learning. If you have a positive or favorable attitude, probably that helps you. Okay. And then you see what is the standards, norms, okay, and how it is perceived by the society. Okay. And if you think that yes, it is okay, then you move further, you actually try to learn, you have intentions to learn, okay, which might result in improved behavior. It means that you have learned this one, and then in the process you can say that okay, I have learned this language and it really helped me to improve my behavior, and this is going to be affected by what you call situation or internal constraints. The relationship between intention and behavior is going to be moderated by the situation, the context, the environment in which you are operating, okay, or what you call there could be internal constraints. Your knowledge and skill base could be the context. Suppose you have learned this, or something else happens and you find that this is not going to be useful. So, it is not going to help you. Okay. Now, another important thing that we are going to discuss is that any learning and development activity is basically results in modifying your behavior. So, when we are saying that okay, this helps to modify your behavior, it means that is going to bring about a change in your behavior or performance. So, how this behavior modification takes place? Okay. Using positive reinforcement. Okay. You tell your employees that okay, if you are able to perform this job well, you are going to be rewarded for it. So, reward is something kind what you call a positive reinforcement, which given to employees is expected to improve their behavior and performance, but this reward is contingent upon making the desired behavior, right. So, when we are going to talk about positive reinforcement, it is contingent upon what you call making the desired behavior, right. So, if you make the desired behavior, then you will be rewarded. It means that this positive reinforcement or reward is contingent upon behavior. Okay. It means that you will get reward only when you make a desired behavior, right. And if you are continuously being rewarded, then this kind of desired behavior gets strengthened and you continue to make the same kind of behavior in order to earn more and more rewards, right. So, positive reinforcement is there. Negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is not something that is opposite of positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is something that is, you say that if you do not make the desired behavior, then you will not get the reward. Okay. So, use coercion, threat, other kind of things. For example, you suggest, you tell your employees, suppose there is an employee who is coming late to the office, okay, and you tell him that if you come to the late to the office, then your salary for the day would be deducted. Okay. You are actually not deducting the salary of the person, but you are using a coercion or threat to the individual employees that if you are coming late to the office, your salary for the day would be deducted. So, please do not come late. So, the idea is to compel him to make a desired behavior by leaving undesirable behavior, right. So, what you are using here is, this is what we call a negative reinforcement. So, the principles of negative reinforcement are also used to strengthen desired behavior. Sorry. Okay. It is not punishment. Punishment is given only when you have made an undesired behavior, right. But negative reinforcement is a kind of coercion and threat that is used to strengthen your desired behavior, and punishment is given when you make a undesired behavior. Punishment is also used for modifying your behavior, right. For example, if you come late and your salary is deducted, so it is a kind of punishment, right, and that would also help you to strengthen your desired behavior. But punishment can be given only when someone makes a undesired behavior, while negative reinforcement is different from punishment, right. So, you must understand the difference between negative reinforcement and punishment. Extension, another factor. Okay. It means if you are behaving in that way, it means, so your reward is not given. Okay. Extension is the situation, if you are making undesired behavior, then the reward does not happen. Okay. But it is different from negative reinforcement or punishment. It means that if you are not making the desired behavior, the punishment is not coming the way. So, you are not getting any reward. Say for example, an employee who is not developing himself to perform up to the mark, then he does not get promotion, right, and he will never get a promotion unless he is able to make up the mark, right, for the next level. It means that the reward that should be available to him is eliminated in the process. So, he does not get it. So, there are number of factors which are used to modify the behavior, and finally, punishment, as I told you, is given only when you make a undesirable behavior, and that is given only after the behavior is made, right. Now, these behavior modification principles are used. I am just giving an example, I have already explained here to you, that is, if you are reaching late to the office, to start with you give a warning, or you can ask him to explain to the manager why you are late. Then if you are continuing this kind of practice, then how to modify or change your behavior? There could be number of options that is available to you. Either you are going to use positive reinforcement, that is not possible in this case. Or negative reinforcement, you threaten him that if you come late now onwards, your salary for that time period would be deducted, right. Or you can also use punishment. If he is coming late, you deduct his salary and tell him your salary for that particular day on which you were when you were absent has been deducted. So, that is going to act as a deterrent to modify or change his behavior, right. Now, apart from external factors, if you look at some of the internal factors which are going to the factors that is related to individual, okay, which are going to be very important influencing the implied outcomes, that is attitude. What is your general attitude, whether your favorable attitude or negative attitude or positive attitude. Okay. And attitude is something that is very stable and it does not change overnight. So, attitude is something because of which you have some idea or certain feelings about certain certain observations about what you call certain objects or certain things. I will give an example of that how attitude happens. So, now if you look at attitude, it has three components, that is cognitive, first component, then cognitive, and third is affective. These are the three major factors of cognition, sorry, attitude. Attitude, first factor is related to the knowledge, second is related to how this knowledge is going to build up your attitude, and finally, how this is going to affect your behavior. Let me give an example. Suppose a person who smokes. So, if you want to see what is his attitude about smoking and you try to explain using these factors, you can say whether he has the knowledge about the effects of the smoke or not. So, he knows very well that yes, smoking is not good for health. If he has this knowledge, move to the next level, what he will do, what kind of belief he will have, okay, how it is going to impact him, that is cognitive. If it is going to impact positive, the behavior would be he will quit. If it is negative, then he do not quit, right. So, his behavior depends upon what kind of beliefs he has developed based on the knowledge that he has. Okay. He change his attitude depending upon the knowledge that he has and how this knowledge is going to impact the individual, right. So, there could be number of factors which can be given whether he is going to develop positive attitude or negative attitude, right. So, he can also develop a positive attitude towards smoking, say that yes, by giving certain arguments that yes, everybody smokes, so what, I am also going to smoke. Okay. See, he can say okay, life is very short, let me enjoy, even if I die, what, so what. So, these are the arguments that could be given to develop positive attitude and it will not help you to quit smoking. But if the argument is on the negative side, then he would probably think about quitting the smoking. Okay. So, attitude is something that is very important, and if you have a right kind of attitude, a favorable attitude towards growth and development, okay, which is facilitated by number of factors, external and environmental and internal and environmental factors, because they build up your attitude, your supervisor, your learning environment, okay, all kind of things are going to develop your attitude towards work, towards your behavior, towards performance. Okay. So, this attitude is very important and it is going to affect your behavior. If you think that even if you are going to learn this, it is not going to change much. So, you will not go for any kind of learning activities. If you think that okay, learning will help you to do things better, so you will go for it. You know that sometimes you will find senior people who do not have a very favorable attitude towards learning and development activities. They think okay, at this stage why they should learn new things. So, if they have a very disfavorable attitude, probably they are not going to learn something. Okay. So, attitude matters a lot. Apart from attitude, we have abilities. In order to behave or improve your performance, you must have the requisite knowledge and skill base, whether you have the competencies or not to perform specific activities. Okay. So, apart from attitude, the most important factor is abilities or the knowledge and skill base that is required. Next is skill. Okay. How are you going to do it? Okay. Even if you have the knowledge, you do not know how to apply that knowledge in a particular context, it does not lead to improve your performance. So, when we say that knowledge leads to a skill, knowledge leads to improvement in performance, it is not so, because here you have another important factor, that how to apply that knowledge, and this is moderated by what you call various individual level factors, attitude, motivation, interest. All these factors actually are going to influence your behavior. So, the relationship between knowledge and skill and your performance is going to be moderated by a number of factors, that is your attitude, motivation, and these kind of things, right. Okay.